Yes,
They
on
need
something.
these.
Oh, they need those.
Some of
They'll
it.
have some of those.
There we go.
Oh, y'all better
Yes.
hang on, because it's a
Yeah.
long one. Get it.
And again,
I think it's get it.
Lorene had asked the question,
It's all your fault.
will we see him visibly in the clouds? And is this, are we seeing something that is physical or is something
Thanks, sir.
implied? So far, we laid a foundation. Now we're going to take a look at the 2 verses out of Matthew that are going to expound on basically what we learned last time. And then Friday, we'll take a look finally at Thessalonians to get the final conclusion. But everything builds on everything else in Torah. You have a foundation, and it builds. You can't just say, you can't look at 2 verses in English and say this is what it means. It's just, because that's gotten us in a lot of doctrinal trouble over the years. So this is called Matthew 24, Part 2, Redemption, the Prelude to Deliverance and Restoration. It's like a really fancy title. So in our last study, we laid a foundation for redemption, deliverance, and restoration, all in this exact order. We considered that the Adam was created to lead humankind on an earth that was created for it, in accordance to the word of Yahweh Elohim. So Adam was created to lead a humankind, but Adam was created to be taught to lead this humankind correctly. The Adam was to have learned from Yahweh Elohim and passed that learning on to humankind, so that in doing so, the entire earth would have been an extension of Eden, basically. And we have the realm of Elohim, we say the heavens, and he created earth for humankind, so it's the realm of humankind, but the realm of Elohim would have basically surrounded and encapsulated the realm of humankind, where it would have all been the realm of Elohim, and we would have been part of that kingdom, so to say. So, we learned last week that the Adam fell to temptation and sin, and that as a result, all human leadership since has also failed. Now, we learned that in helical time, there's always redemption in times of transgression. Helical time. Okay, helical time. We talked about fractal time is that it starts and then it goes in a straight line and it stops. Okay, and this is a period, and it starts again and it goes again and it stops, and then something else starts, and we can say we've had what? The Ice Age, we've had the Stone Age, we've had the Iron Age, we've had the Dark Ages. Helical time doesn't work this way. Helical time, if you imagine a helix, basically if you can picture a screw, it does this. It does this. And this is how time in Torah works, in that we can go to the beginning, and like we talked about last week, that we took the first verse in Torah, which is Bereshit 1:1, was there because Bereshit 1:2 was going on. The world was formless and void. We needed a means of restoration to restore this. And then in that motion, light comes into being, and then, so every time there's a transgression, there's a means of redemption that's also been put into motion. And we'll talk more about this helical time as we move along. So there's always redemption in times of transgression. We learned that Yahshua died in order to bring the mandate of Bereshit 1:1 into effect, that as the vehicle of sacrifice, he made it possible for humankind to make teshuvah and to be immediately forgiven for transgression. Only by and through this would the covenant between Yahweh Elohim and humankind, those who would and do believe and receive, finally be restored. So in this study, we'll consider the topic of redemption. And in part 3 of the study, we're going to consider the final deliverance and the final restoration that comes from Yahweh at the end of this helix in time. Because we say that eventually the helix is going to stop. You can only screw a screw in so far before it bottoms out. It's not going to go anymore. Eventually time is going to stop. There wasn't any time prior to the transgression, and there won't be any time afterwards. So the word redeemed, according to Webster's dictionary, means to buy back or to get back, to free from what brings distress and harm, to free from captivity by payment of a ransom, to remove from or help to overcome something detrimental, 5, to release from blame or debt, and 6, to be free from the consequences of sin. Yahshua redeemed those who would and do believe and receive the Torah of Yahweh Elohim and his gift of redemption and undeserved favor by and through the blood of Yahshua. So in this study, we're going to deconstruct these Aramaic verses, and then we're going to reconstruct in order to understand the first steps of what this redemption process what takes place in this redemption process that leads us to the final deliverance and ultimately to restoration of what should have been prior to the beginning. So we begin with the words of our master, Yahshua, in Matthew 24, and this is Matthew 24:30, that said, "And then shall be seen the standard of the Son of Man in heaven, and then all the generations of the earth shall wail, and they shall see the Son of Man coming upon the clouds of heaven with great power and glory." Okay, so we look at this in English or Spanish or Pidgin English or Japanese, and we say, we're going to see the Son of Man coming in the clouds. Okay? Let's take a look at these verses a little bit more deeper to see what they're telling us. So many of the Aramaic words, which are essentially a mix of Persian and Hebrew, that are found in Brit Hadashah, find their roots in Hebrew. And we're going to begin with the word wechaiken, that means "and then shall be." This word finds its roots in the Hebrew chaya, that means to exist. Within the word chaya, we have the name Yah, which is a short form of Yahweh. This is the name Yahweh means eternal one, but it also means to exist. So we see the name Yah in the word chaya. So we can begin to formulate our first idea that something will exist or come into being through Yahweh. So the next word that we find is a word for seen, that is net chezeh. It comes from the Aramaic root hez, meaning not just to see, but to behold. This word means to pay close attention. Okay? So the idea here is something is going to come into existence from Yahweh, and we have to pay close attention to what's going on. So we can formulate that what Yahweh has brought into existence at this moment in time, must be carefully observed. Okay, so this is where we are in this verse, is that what Yahweh has brought into existence at this moment in time must be carefully observed. And this is extremely important in our present time. We must be preparing for this event. In our present time, right now, in our lifetime, we have to begin to prepare for this event. Right? The instruction of Yahweh Elohim, his Torah, must be understood and adhered to now in order to prepare and be prepared for the event that we're going to discuss in this study. So we have the instruction of Elohim. We have to pay careful attention to the instruction of Elohim. Torah means instruction. It's not just that old Jewish stuff. Torah means instruction. And we have to pay very close attention to the instruction of Elohim. This is a very important part of what we have to understand from this verse. So the next word in this verse is nishe, that means standard. This word means sign or banner or signal flag. This word is rooted in the word nes, that means something lifted up, and this is where the signal or signal flag thing comes in. In ancient times, the archers in the armies would be signaled with a flag to release their arrows, and regiments of the army would be signaled by flags to get in position to attack and also to attack. So there is something in this time, in this perception, that is going to signal a time for something to begin. Okay? But what we're going to see is that we are going to have to be perceptive to it. And what we're going to find in this verse is the thing that tells us that we have to be perceptive to it is not found in the English of this verse. It's simply placed in the Aramaic of this verse, that if you didn't bother to go to the Aramaic, you wouldn't even know it was there. So it's a very important thing that we understand the instruction of Yahweh Elohim in his language. Now, Aramaic is not the language of Elohim. Hebrew is, but Aramaic finds its roots in Hebrew. So we have to pay attention to what the Aramaic is telling us. So we keep in mind that there's going to be a signal flag waved for something to begin. Let's take a look at Isaiah 13. We start with 13:1. That says, "The burden of Babylon, which Isaiah the son of Amos did see, lift you up a banner upon the high mountain, exalt the voice unto them, shake the hand that they may go to the gates of the nobles." Give them a sign. "I have commanded my set apart ones. I have also called my mighty ones for my anger, even them that rejoice in my highness." What we have here is he's signaling for those to pay attention, to go to the gates of the nobles. What the peasants would do when there was an attack coming is they would run for the gate to be secured within the castle. Okay? But what this line in 13:3 or 13:3 is telling us, that the wrath of Yahweh is going to affect everyone in this situation. Okay? And that's an important concept to hold on to. The wrath of Yahweh is going to affect everyone. "The noise of the multitude in the mountains, like as a great people, a tumultuous noise of the kingdoms of the nations gathered together. Yahweh of hosts musters the host of the battle. They come from a far country, from the ends of heaven, even Yahweh, and the weapons of his indignation to destroy the whole land." Now this is in Isaiah. This is in Isaiah, but it says the weapons of his indignation. Okay? And keep that in mind, because we're going to take a look at a comment here in a second. "Howl you, for the day of Yahweh is at hand. It shall come as the destruction from the Almighty. Therefore shall all the hands be faint, and every man's heart shall melt. And they shall be afraid. Pangs and sorrow shall take hold of them. They shall be in pain as a woman that travails. They shall be amazed one at another. Their faces shall be as flames. Behold, the day of Yahweh comes, cruel, both with wrath and fierce anger, to lay the land desolate, and he shall destroy the sinners thereof out of it. For the stars of heaven and the constellations thereof shall not give their light. The sun shall be darkened in its going forth, and the moon shall not cause her light to shine. And I will punish the earth for their evil, and the wicked for their iniquity. And I will cause the arrogance of the proud to cease, and I will lay low the haughtiness of the terrible. I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than a golden wedge of Ophir. This is telling us, and we kind of see inklings of it today. Not that anything's going to happen anytime soon, but gold is going to be worthless. Okay, when it comes, So, therefore, I will shake the heavens, and the earth shall remove out of her place in the wrath of Yahweh of hosts, and in the day of his fierce anger. And it shall be as the chased roe, and as the sheep that no man takes up. They shall every man turn to his own people, and flee every one into his own land. Every one that is found shall be thrust through, and every one that is joined unto them shall fall by the sword. Their children also shall be dashed to pieces before their eyes. Their homes shall be spoiled, and their wives ravaged. What we're seeing here is human violence. Okay? Human violence at this point. And that's something to keep in mind as we go further into the study. But human violence is going to take its toll in this particular situation. Now, this is telling us when and who and what of what's going to happen here. Behold, I will stir up the Medes against them, the Persians, which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it. Their bows shall also dash the young men to pieces, and they shall have no pity upon the fruit of the womb. Their eyes shall not spare the children. And Babylon, okay, Babylon, remember Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldees' excellency, shall be as when Elohim overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. There wasn't a whole left of Sodom and Gomorrah. What is the root of Kashim? Parkshad. Okay? Remember a parkshad? A parkshad in our studies of the genealogy that refers to or references a period of captivity, a period of bondage. So it references the Babylonians within the name. But anyway, it shall never be inhabited, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation. Neither shall the Arabian pitch a tent there, neither shall shepherds make their fold there. But wild beasts of the desert shall lie there, and their houses shall be full of doleful creatures. And owls shall dwell there, and the satyrs shall dance there. Satyr is a very hairy male goat. And sometimes this very hairy male goat is alluded to the mythological figure of Pan, but it's also when we see the statue in Oklahoma now of Baphomet, whatever he is, that depicts Satan. This is what we're looking at. This is going to be a place that's laid waste, and the demonic influence is going to dance there, basically, is what it's saying. And that's an important thing to keep in mind, too, as we move forward towards the end of this study. Let's see, where were we? We passed the satyrs. And the wild beasts of the island shall cry in their desolate houses, and serpents in their pleasant palaces. Serpents in their pleasant palaces. Serpents are going to be in a comfortable place. What is the serpent? So, it's the one that brought deception. The ones that bring deception are going to be in a comfortable place. An owl shall dwell, we've already gone to the owls. And her time is near to come, and her days shall not be prolonged. Okay, so it's talking about here, we're reading about the coming Persian invasion of Babylon that will ultimately allow the children of Israel to return to Jerusalem and rebuild the temple and restore the study of and keeping of Torah. So we consider the helical nature of time in Torah, that what do we see in Revelation that's going to be destroyed? It's Babylon the Great is going to be destroyed. She is basically a representation of false worship and false religion. And everybody wants to point to